Everyone wants more. More money, more success, more possessions, more recognition, more comfort. From the moment we wake up, the world whispers into our ears that we are not enough, that what we have is not enough, that peace and happiness live just one purchase, one achievement, one upgrade away. And so we run, we chase, we work harder and harder to fill our lives with things. And yet, strangely, the more we add, the emptier we feel. The Stoics saw this pattern thousands of years ago. They lived in a world full of ambition and greed, not so different from ours today, and they asked a radical question. What if more is not the answer? What if real wealth is not in adding, but in subtracting? What if living with less actually makes you richer? Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, warned his students not to be fooled by luxury. He owned villas, fine clothes, servants, and yet he wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." True poverty is not the absence of wealth, but the endless hunger for more. And true wealth is not abundance of possessions, but freedom from needing them. Think about that for a moment. How often have you finally gotten what you wanted, only to discover it didn't satisfy you for long? You bought the new phone, but 6 months later a newer one appears. You got the promotion, but soon you wanted the next title. You filled your house with things, but it still feels like something's missing. This is the trap of desire. It never ends. Each time you give it what it asks, it grows hungrier. The Stoics understood that the path to peace was not to feed desire endlessly, but to step away from its grip. Epictetus, born a slave with nothing, taught his students that freedom came not from owning much, but from needing little. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Imagine the strength of that mindset. Imagine waking up and feeling no hunger for things you don't yet have. Imagine finding satisfaction in what is already in front of you. That is not poverty. That is true wealth, the kind no thief can steal, no fortune can take, no disaster can erase. But let's be honest, living with less in today's world sounds strange, even scary. We are surrounded by advertising designed to make us feel incomplete. Social media shows us endless highlight reels of people with bigger houses, fancier clothes, more glamorous lives. And we think, if only I had what they had, I would be happy. But the truth is, most of those people are not happy either. They are just trapped in the same cycle of craving, the same treadmill of more. The Stoics teach us to step off that treadmill, to reclaim our lives from endless consumption, to discover the richness of simplicity. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, who could have surrounded himself with any luxury he wanted, constantly reminded himself of how little a person truly needs. He wrote in his meditations, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Here was a man who commanded armies, who sat on the throne of the most powerful empire in the world, and yet he insisted, happiness does not come from palaces or treasures. It comes from the mind, from perspective, from living in alignment with what truly matters. So what does it mean to live with less? It doesn't mean abandoning all comfort and running into the wilderness. The Stoics were not calling us to misery. What they called us to was freedom, to detach our peace from possessions, to practice gratitude for what we already have, to stop confusing luxury with happiness, to realize that simplicity sharpens the soul, while excess weakens it. Consider this: when you live with less, every gift feels greater. A simple meal tastes richer because you are not numb from endless indulgence. A small home feels spacious because your mind is not cluttered with comparison. A walk outside feels like wealth because you are free enough to enjoy it. The person who always needs more never feels satisfied because desire moves the finish line further away each time it's reached. But the person who needs little already has enough, and that is true abundance. The Stoics often practiced voluntary discomfort, not to punish themselves, but to remind themselves of this truth. Seneca advised his students to sleep on the floor sometimes, to eat coarse bread, to wear simple clothes, and then ask themselves, "Is this what I feared?" By doing so, they discovered that life without luxuries was not unbearable, and in fact, it was freeing. Because once you see that you can endure less, you no longer fear losing more. You no longer live enslaved to wealth, possessions, or status. That freedom, that independence from fear, is real richness. Modern science even supports this ancient wisdom. Studies show that after a certain point, more money does not increase happiness. Comfort rises, yes, but joy does not. In fact, beyond basic needs, more wealth often brings more anxiety, worries about status, worries about losing it, worries about keeping up. Simplicity, on the other hand, reduces stress, sharpens focus, and cultivates gratitude. Living with less declutters not only your home, but your mind. Now ask yourself, what are you clinging to right now that is stealing your peace? Is it a desire for more money, even though you have enough to live? Is it the endless chase for recognition, the need to prove yourself again and again? Is it possessions that weigh you down, clutter that you thought would make you happy but now suffocates you? Each of these is a chain, and each chain can be broken by practicing simplicity. But simplicity takes courage. It means saying no when the world says yes. It means turning down some pleasures so you can discover greater peace. It means choosing gratitude over greed, presence over possession. It means living in a way that looks ordinary on the outside but feels extraordinary on the inside. Imagine two people. One has a mansion, cars, endless possessions, but spends every day anxious about losing it all, comparing themselves to others, and never satisfied. The other has a modest home, simple meals, fewer possessions, but wakes each morning grateful, calm, and free. Who is richer? The answer is obvious. Richness is not measured in what you own, but in how little you need. The Stoics remind us that simplicity is not about deprivation, it is about alignment. It is about aligning your desires with reality, aligning your life with virtue instead of vanity, aligning your focus on what truly matters. Courage, wisdom, justice, self-control, these are the treasures that make life meaningful, and none of them can be bought. When you live with less, you also give yourself the gift of focus. Your energy is no longer scattered across endless wants. Your time is no longer wasted chasing things that don't matter. Your mind is no longer weighed down with comparison. Instead, you are free to direct your attention toward what matters most. Building character, nurturing relationships, contributing to something larger than yourself. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Remember that line. Write it down. Let it remind you that the poverty of desire is far heavier than the poverty of possessions. And let it remind you that freedom is always available, if you dare to live with less. This does not mean you must reject every comfort. The Stoics themselves enjoyed food, wine, friendship, and beauty, but they never let these things own them. They enjoyed them when present, but did not mourn them when absent. That balance, that freedom from attachment, is what simplicity teaches us. So, how can you begin practicing this in your own life? Start small. Take inventory of your possessions. Ask yourself, do I own this, or does it own me? If it vanished tomorrow, would my peace vanish with it? If yes, then practice loosening your grip. Try voluntary discomfort. Skip a luxury for a week and see that you can live without it. Practice gratitude each morning. List what you already have, instead of craving what you lack. Simplify your schedule. Cut out distractions that add noise but not meaning. And most importantly, train your desires. Remind yourself daily, I need very little to live well. Over time, these practices reshape you. You begin to notice how heavy desire once was. You begin to breathe easier with fewer possessions, fewer demands. You begin to see wealth not in your bank account, but in your ability to remain steady, content, and free. And then you understand what the Stoics knew all along. Living with less makes you richer. Because richness is not luxury, richness is freedom, richness is clarity, richness is gratitude, richness is peace. And all of these are available not when you add more, but when you need less. So the next time you find yourself chasing more status, more possessions, more recognition, pause. Ask yourself, will this truly make me free? Or is it another chain disguised as wealth? And then remind yourself, the richest person is not the one who owns the most, but the one who needs the least. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe and join me each week as we explore Stoic lessons, not as abstract philosophy, but as daily practices for peace and strength. Share in the comments one area of your life where you are ready to live with less. Is it possessions? Is it comparison? Is it endless desires? Your words may inspire someone else to take their first step toward freedom. And share this message with someone you care about, someone weighed down by the chase for more. Remind them that peace is not out there in the next achievement, the next purchase, the next goal. Peace is here in the courage to live simply, gratefully, freely.